working?
Start, please.
Well, we need to start over. I didn't know you were starting.
Stand up and start. I can't sit there and you'll have to delete the beginning of it.
Okay.
Come on, get serious.
Hi.
I'm Carol Foster.
I'm Chloe. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Alrighty. So you're here for the position opening in a Levi merchandising coordinator?
Yes, I am.
And basically the job description for that is a merchandising and display of Levi products in department stores. You understand that too, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any questions before we get started?
No.
We're actually just going to run through a couple quick questions, and if you could just answer them to your fullest, that would be great.
Okay.
So basically, what led you to your decision based on your college?
Well, I guess part of the reason I like this job is because some of my summer jobs have dealt with working in department stores
Okay.
and customer service and merchandising floors, and I just really enjoy that and feel like that's where my talents lie. So I just thought this position seemed to fit what my skills were and what I'm interested in doing.
Okay. And now that you've finished school and everything, what do you think you're going to take away from it, and how do you think you'll apply that to jobs in the future?
My college experience?
Yes.
Well, I mean, some of the courses I took were obviously in merchandising and textiles, dealing with clothing and that sort of thing. So I think that background was certainly going to help me in this field going forward, especially with just merchandising specifically and doing visual displays in the stores. And like I said, that's what I've done in some of my summer jobs.
Okay. And if you had to pick, what would be the toughest challenge you've had to overcome between either in college or having to apply for different positions or anything like that?
That's a good question. I would say, Can we come back to that in just a second?
Yeah,
Think about
definitely.
that for a second.
And so have you had any position before this?
Have I had that specific position?
Just any job position that has to do with retail and displaying and
Yes.
stuff.
So there's 2 different summers that I worked at Macy's,
Okay.
and I worked in the accessories department.
Okay.
And in those positions, I was allowed to set up some of the displays and do some of the creative merchandising, and I just really enjoyed it and felt that I had strengths in that.
Okay. And what task or activity in those jobs would you say that caused you the most problems or difficulty?
Well, sometimes the job was tough because we would get lots of shipments in at the same time, and so we were trying to get it set up while the store was open, and I'm helping customers because my job involved customer service as well as merchandising, and so sometimes that's tricky because the customer always comes first. So sometimes I didn't always get through my get the display set up because I was busy helping customers. So
Yeah. Okay. And then what would your most recent supervisor say about you with your recent work history?
I'd say that she would say that I'm motivated, friendly, just very customer service oriented, and that I'm creative.
Okay. And what did you enjoy most and least about your last positions?
Definitely what I enjoyed most was just setting up, making something out of nothing. This merchandise came in, and it was up to me to creatively set it up and display and make it so that people walking by would catch their interest, and so that's what I liked most about it. I guess what I liked least is just sometimes customers are impatient and not very friendly, and even though I was doing my best, sometimes just people aren't nice, and that's hard.
And how would you deal with an unfriendly customer that approached you?
Well, I always tried to just be pleasant, no matter whatever they were upset about, whether it was my fault or it wasn't my fault. I just tried to calm the person down and do what I could to assist them to make it better. I just go out of my way to correct the situation, whether, like I said, it was my fault or somebody else's. So.
Okay. Have you ever disliked a supervisor in the past, and like what made you dislike them?
Yes, I had one manager. Her name was Lisa, and she she just wasn't a very like happy person. So she'd come into work sometimes, and she would be kind of grumpy, and which doesn't really motivate somebody on the sales floor, to do that. But I had a talk with her about it. I just said, is there a problem with my work performance? Because you just seem like, and she would always say no, and always come back to something personal in her life. But I think we kind of worked through it, and she seemed to be a little bit better at work.
Okay. And what would you say your biggest accomplishment would be so far?
Well, I in that same job this last summer, I went from a salesperson to like a supervisor. They promoted me because they just liked what I did, and I was dependable, and my sales goal. I met my sales goal, and so they promoted me in that summer job.
Okay. And what would you say was the biggest adjustment you found yourself making when you entered the workforce?
Well, just going from, school, those days are, your classes are different times, but getting up and working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, is it, because this job is Monday through, full-time job. So just getting in a consistent schedule, and I think that'll be probably the biggest adjustment from college life to the workforce.
Okay. And during your last job, do you ever feel like you were fairly evaluated based on what your supervisors and managers had to say about you, and if they had explained to you what your position was like and everything like that?
Yeah, I had, because it was just a 3-month job really in the summer, but so I had a 90-day evaluation, and yes, I felt that everything that was on my evaluation was fair, and like I said, they thought I was doing a great job, and they promoted me, so.
Okay. How do you react when someone criticizes you, either constructively criticizes them or just has something to say about your work?
Well, I really take it to heart if somebody points out something that I've either done or upsets them, or they don't like the way I do it, because, you have to work with people, and people do things differently, so you have to understand that there's not one way necessarily to do it. So I think it's a learning experience, and when somebody says, Carol, I don't think that's the best way to do it, then I listen to that and I try it their way, and if my way, ends up being better, or their way ends up being better, in the end it's best for the company.
Yeah, okay. And which do you work most effectively in, and why, either teams or individually?
I really like to work as a team. I played sports all through high school and college, and just being on a team, I like the support of the people around me. I feel like everybody offers different strengths, and I think in the end, generally, a project can be better because you've got people doing different things with their strengths to make it better. So I really like being a part of a team.
Okay. And why did you choose Levi's, and what led you to seek employment here?
Well, Levi's, was the company was born in 1850, and so it's a really old company. And I've learned a lot about the company, and I know some people that work for the company, and heard nothing but good things about the company. And I like the brand, I wear the products, and I just feel that it would be a great place to work.
Okay. Of all your jobs, which do you dislike the most, and why? Like, even if it didn't have to deal with merchandising.
Right, yeah. There was one summer job I had, and I was a waitress at a restaurant. And I think, by the way, everybody should be a waitress at a restaurant at some point in their life, or a waiter, because it really teaches you a lot about customer service, and you are definitely more empathetic when you go to a restaurant now. I am now, at least, because I know that it's not always the waiter's fault or the waitress's fault if the order is wrong or what have you. So that was a tough job, because no matter what, if the food was wrong or it took too long, it always fell on me. And some things I had control over and some things I didn't, but it it taught me a lot about just understanding that there's many people that play a role in that job, and the cook to the, getting it out to the table and so on and so forth. And so I think that was probably my toughest, hardest job.
Okay. And then what would you say is the most important to you about your job and like the company? Like what would you say is really a key thing in a company?
Well, at this point in my life, obviously growth potential, benefits in the company, those are things that I'm going to look for right now. Starting out, I need to have medical benefits, of course, because I can no longer be on my parents' policy. But also just what's the path, where can I go from here? Because, I'm really career-minded and don't necessarily have to stay in Cincinnati. I'm willing to move, relocate, to move along in the company. So, I'll ask you about that in a minute, but I'd just like to know that there's opportunities down the road and that this isn't just, a dead-end job right here.
Okay. And why did you leave your last position, would you say?
Well, I went back to school.
Okay.
I didn't work through the school year. I played soccer at Miami, so I wasn't able to also have a job. So it wasn't that I was fired or had to quit. I just had to go back to school, and it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm not in the same city.
Yeah, okay. And based on the job description that I described earlier, what skills do you think you could bring to the job, and what do you think you would need to work on more?
Well, I think I can bring experience from doing a similar job in the past, even though it was accessories and not clothing. I think I can bring that experience, as well as I'm just very creative, naturally. And I just think I have a good eye for setting up displays and drawing customers in. I'm also just very detail-minded and organized, so I know specifically with Levi's, it's a lot of denim, it's a lot of sizing, and that is something that takes a person that can really be detail-minded to get everything sized right, folded right, meticulous. So those are the skills.
Okay, and then what would you say you need to work on?
Well, sometimes it's overwhelming. Like I said, challenges in my previous job, we'd get a large shipment in, the store's open, customers come first, I couldn't always get through everything, and I know with Levi's, say, holiday shipments or back to school shipments, it's gonna take just understanding that I'm not gonna be able to tackle it all in one day. So, just working on seeing the big picture, but just being able to break it down and not being overwhelmed and going home at the end of the day feeling like, gosh, I didn't do a good job.
Okay. And tell me a time where you made a mistake and how you reacted to that or learned from it.
Well, one time when I was at Macy's working, I rang a customer wrong price. They left. They had to come back, and so it was inadvertent. It was not, but I had to correct it. I had to tell my manager, and they were fine. Fine because I can't, said I did it. It was my fault, and I think they did something for the customer too.
Okay.
But.
And overall, the customer experience ended up being okay because the mistake was corrected.
Right. And I think if you own up to your mistakes and you say, we're all human, we all make mistakes, and I think it was fine that I took credit for making the mistake, and then we fixed it.
Okay. And is there anything that would prevent you from performing the essential functions of the position?
No, I don't think so. I know it's probably very physical, and I'm in good shape. I do work out some of my free time, but no, I know that it's physical, it's on your feet, it's constantly changing, so I'm totally aware of that and have no problems with that.
Okay. And what do you do when you have to make an important decision?
Well, I take my time.
Okay.
I sometimes even call my dad and ask him, if I have some time, before making a decision, but generally any important decision in my life, I'm going to involve my family, and just get some different viewpoints before I make a final decision. I never like to rush on any important decision in my life.
Okay. What do you feel would be the toughest part about merchandising and displaying?
I think the toughest part sometimes is just making it all work. Like I said, you know, sometimes you're given this much space in a store and you've got this much merchandise and somebody didn't plan that, so you have to make it work, get it all out, make it look good, and it can just be challenging just to being able to, you know, figure it out. It's like a math problem, you know. You've got this much merchandise, it's got to fit in this much space, and figuring it out and making it work.
Okay. And what do you expect most out of a supervisor that you would have in the future?
I expect a supervisor to be open-minded, hardworking. I'd like the supervisor to show me that they're willing to work as hard as I'm willing to work, and just kind of be flexible, understanding.
Okay. And what kind of performance feedback is most effective for you, would you say?
Well, it's always nice to hear. I think when somebody is talking to you about your performance, I think they should point at the positive as well as the negative. And so I think you end on a positive no matter what.
Okay.
And because you want the person to go out wanting to work harder and do a better job, not feeling defeated and like, well, I'm never going to please them. So both. I think you have to have positive reinforcement, but
Yeah.
still, you've got to get the job done and done right. So.
Okay. Tell me about like the tasks and some of the different responsibilities you've had in the future, or in the past. I'm sorry.
Basically, I've been responsible for setting up shops by vendor.
Okay.
So, again, a merchandising role, a visual role. I've even had to dress the mannequins using accessories. I also have generally been given a sales goal, so I also have to meet a customer service sales goal. So I would say those are the main things.
Okay, and you feel fairly comfortable with completing all those?
Mhm.
Okay. And you haven't had any struggles or anything in the past that would?
No. I'm used to multitasking. I'm used to, you know, being able to help a customer, you know, do a display. And I don't really struggle having problems
Okay.
with that.
And you said that you don't have anything holding you back here. You'd be happy to relocate if we were to place you somewhere different and stuff like that? Okay. Alrighty, well I think that's pretty much all the questions I've had for you. Do you have any questions for me that I could answer for you?
So what is the territory?
The territory is going to be around the Cincinnati-Dayton area. Sometimes you might have to go across the country for some job trips, but other than that, it's basically in Cincinnati-Dayton.
Okay. So I think I read online that the accounts are Macy's, Kohl's, Dillard's, and Penny's.
Yeah.
And I'm responsible for men's Levi's, women's and juniors Levi's. And I saw that Dockers is also a part of that because they're owned by Levi's.
Correct.
So I would be responsible for all those departments.
Yes.
And I assume there's some kind of rotation schedule, so depending on the volume of the store, that's how many times I'll visit them a month,
Absolutely.
or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so the salary range, what is that range?
The salary range right now is $35,000 to $50,000, depending on your past experience, things like that, where you're actually placed, location, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And that would be more like discussed more after the job is filled with the person who received the job and stuff like that during orientation and stuff like that.
Okay. And when do you think you'll have a decision?
We're interviewing a couple applicants throughout the week, so I'm thinking by the end of the week you'll be getting an email explaining what's going on with that and if you receive the position or not, and any further information and instructions on what to do.
Okay.
So yeah, is that all you have to ask?
That's great. Yeah,
Alrighty, well thank you so much for
Thanks
being
so much.
with me.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good day,
Thanks,
Chloe.
you
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye.